We are back with another episode of Before You Buy, the first of 2019. For those of you that don't know, this is a show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing, and today we're talking about Onimusha Warlords. This is pretty much a bare-bones remaster, but it's a re-release of a damn good game. The original Onimusha Warlords is from 2001, and while this new cleaned-up version with like higher-resolution textures is for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and Switch, it doesn't really look amazing. I think the game itself still holds up. There are flaws from the time period, some that they really did fix, and like I said, it doesn't look that hot, but it's still absolutely just as much fun as it always has been, and it's like a total joy to play through. I have a long history with the series, playing from the beginning and being obsessed with it from a young age. But to be completely honest, since the game's released, I haven't jumped back into them again, so I wasn't sure what to think going into this, but I'll get to that. Your adventure starts with Samanosuke and Kaede on a quest to save Princess Yuki that quickly becomes more and more complicated as mythical monsters are introduced and everything just kind of falls apart into wacky video game slash fest with samurai zombies, ninja monsters, bug people, giant demons, and just a lot of crazy and pretty inspired stuff. The story is told through both in-game cutscenes and a few pre-rendered scenes that, I gotta say, the pre-rendered cutscenes are the same, but they don't look as bad on newer TVs as I thought they would. It's a good score. It's a really good score, but if you were super obsessed with the original back when the game first released like I did, some things might sound differently than you remember. Samanosuke's big grand entrance, for one, sounded totally different and threw me off with the music. Either way, Samanosuke is still a badass. The music is slightly different, but thankfully the quality is still up to par, but it's worth pointing out. Gameplay-wise, this has often been thrown in as like an ancient Japan Resident Evil style game, but it's really not. It doesn't quite play like one, but it does retain a lot of the dread and atmospheric elements that, made the original Resident Evil game so special. You also get fixed camera angles and static background images, which, of course, don't really hold up today, but I love the look all the same. You progress through areas, you kill enemies, you collect items, and solve the occasional puzzles while leveling up your weapons. You only get a few weapons, but they get cooler as you level them up. Action revolves around movement and positioning, blocking, and then kind of mindlessly slashing. You can do forward stabs and stun kicks, and a few other tricks thanks to an expendable magic bar and stuff like that, but the combat is often relatively simple. Even still, it's incredibly satisfying, like the sound and flash of a nice block or a good sidestep and strike still feels like really good through feedback and vibration, and it just makes killing things fun. Movement itself, though, is still kind of goofy. Whoever you're playing as, they always move either too much or too little, making a lot of navigating the environment feel imprecise when it's combined with the fixed camera angles and you suddenly are heading in the wrong direction or something. I just wish they tweaked this scheme a little bit more because it's honestly where the game feels the most aged. You kill monsters and occasionally grind to level up your weapons and stuff. You eventually find different armor and a couple of other useful items too. Dumping souls into leveling up feels satisfying thanks to the nice mechanic of having to hold down a button to absorb souls that your enemies drop after you kill them. Now, the game also seems a bit easier than I remember, whereas like the Devil May Cry HD collection got harder. It feels like Onimusha is a cakewalk to today's standards, except for some boss battles here and there. But still, what you get is a fun, rewarding experience, and no frills. A couple of bullshit puzzles here and there, but otherwise a fun adventure that has the vibe of a survival horror game of the time without actually having much survival horror gameplay elements. This is way more of a combat-focused game, and that's why I like it. The original Onimusha is filled with like over-the-top characters and a surprising amount of weird moments, and thankfully a lot of that has to do with the voice acting, which is super cringeworthy, but kind of like in an enjoyable way. Everyone delivers their lines so over the top that you just can't help but smile. Couple that with the fact that Samanosuke is just a cool, dependable, straightforward hero. Plus, there is an old-school style save system where you gotta find magic mirrors to save, and if you die, you're shit out of luck, which some people really don't like in 2019, but I don't mind them here, at least in Onimusha, because they're implemented in a pretty fair fashion. It does mean you occasionally get stuck watching an in-game cutscene again if you die after a long sequence, and honestly, that's something that should have been fixed for this version of the game. But in most instances, it's not, and that's really disappointing. Again, it's still an otherwise very fun game, though. I thought it was gonna suck, honestly, since I haven't touched these since they actually released. but I think it totally holds up. It feels like an older game, but it's still one that you can absolutely have fun with. My only other gripe really is that this is only the first game. I would have loved it if this was a collection of like 1, 2, and 3 at the very least. Now I'm just jonesing for more after playing this. Maybe this was just Capcom gauging interest in future Onimusha games or like a revamp. I don't know. I would really like to see more of these playable in modern consoles like 3 with Jean Reno. This series has a lot to offer, and with Capcom putting out this HD version of Onimusha Warlords, I really hope that this is just the beginning. I guess we won't really know though until after this game drops. We'll see what else Capcom does. Who knows? But that's a before you buy. You know how this goes down by now. I'll give you some pros, some cons, some personal opinion, and now I definitely want to hear yours down in the comments. Are you someone that has never been exposed to an Onimusha game? Maybe you weren't an early PS2 player. This thing was a smash hit back in the day in 2001, but maybe you weren't even alive. I don't know. I'm rapidly aging. But if you are a fan, what is your favorite Onimusha game? I would really like to hear that. Whatever you got for us, be sure to hit us in the comments, and I'll also be answering any questions you got on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino. If you did enjoy this video and maybe you learned a thing or two, clicking the like button does always help us out. We really do appreciate it. But it's worth mentioning, if you're new, you should consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out new videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Nobunaga has finally engaged the enemy.